For the military, for the law enforcement side, are you training alongside their canine handlers, or are you training the dogs up and then handing them off to them so that they can then get additional training? What does that look like?
So we're doing both. So we created a nonprofit too called Dynadogs. And basically what the nonprofit does is donate fully trained police dogs to agencies in need, which can cost anywhere between like a green dog usually costs about on the low end like 7 grand. To a finished dog could be upwards of $35,000, right? Really dependent, yeah,
Holy
really
shit.
dependent on the level of training and stuff. But so, for example, like the two dogs that we gave to Willimantic, I only deal with breeders that I know. I try not to outsource dogs from Europe or, unless I know the person. We have contacts in Europe. We go over there once a year in the summer to train dogs there. But, it's I think the biggest problem in law enforcement right now with the dogs is that they go to vendors. And and the key word is vendor. They're not
Yeah.
trainers. They're not handlers. They are
Yeah.
strictly people that have contacts in Europe that breed dogs where it's very cheap to do it. Veterinary costs are very cheap in Europe. They raise the dogs to a certain extent and level, and then they ship the dog and sell the dog to U.S. vendors. And what the U.S. vendor does is then take the dog, increase the price slightly for a finder fee, right? And then resell the dog to an agency and say, hey, you got the dog, fucking good luck. Don't call me back, right? Unless the dog doesn't work
Interesting.
out and I'll find you a new one.
Yeah.
So like what I'm trying to do with my nonprofit and my business is something different. What I want to do is I want to deal with local breeders that I know
Yeah.
genetically the dog is very sound, right?
Yeah.
Not going to have any health issues or mental problems or anything like that. We could get the dog at a very reasonable age where I can continue training. So like the two dogs we got for Willimantic, we got one at a year and a half and one at a year old. So when I got the dogs in, they stayed with me in my kennel for 3 months, and I did basically all the foundation training. So imprintation on narcotics, imprintation on tracking, human odor, evidence recovery, building search, and bite work, as well as some obedience. So the dog has been basically fully trained for 3 months, and now I'm going to be working with them starting on November 10th. We're going to start their Handlers Academy, which should take anywhere between 8 to 10 weeks, and then I'll work alongside them with their dogs and their handlers.
Very
Sorry,
cool.
back. I want to get back to the handlers. Breeding, health, and mental issues. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so and the thing in Europe is that they don't do a lot of health clearances. When they in health clearances, I'm talking about like spinal issues, hip dysplasia, elbow
Yeah.
dysplasia, heart defects, eyes, right? There's a lot of genetic issues that are in these dogs that if they're bred wrong, you're going to end up with these problems down the road.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out like the dog's hips are going to start giving out, or the dog has DM, which is a spinal issue where the spine just gives out their back end and they can't hold themselves up. So I want to deal with breeders that are doing their due diligence on doing the genetic testing, making sure their dogs are healthy and clear to be bred, and
Yeah.
they're breeding proper dogs for police work, right? We don't want to end up with backyard dogs, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So, next question: the cost. What is the difference between a $7,000 dog and a $35,000 dog? I didn't
Yeah,
realize it
it,
was like
it
that.
really comes down to the level of training. So, like a $7,000 dog is what they would call a green dog. So,
Yeah.
basically, it's a young dog, usually the age of 10 months to sometimes even 2 years old, that has done nothing but some bite work and a lot of hunt drive. Basically, throw a ball in the fucking woods and tell the dog to find it. That's basically what a green dog at 7 grand looks like.
That's
As you
wild.
start increasing the level of training,
Yeah.
um, you know, as you start increasing the level of training, the dog's price goes up. You know what I mean? So I would say the two dogs without the nonprofit, if with the 3 months that I've spent with them, they're probably close to like $25,000 dogs in 3 months.
Holy shit.